Vets reflect on Hiroshima today on the world. I'm Marco Werman. Andrew Malone served in Iraq. His relatives fought and died in World War II. So the president's visit to Hiroshima hits close to home.
It's important just beyond my personal connections because I'm watching the world revert back to historically these acts of barbarism, genocide, and nothing's being done about it. And that's what spawns these bigger events that cost more life.
Also, Kim Jong-un's aunt and uncle disappeared 2 decades ago. Turns out they defected to the U.S.
They run a dry cleaning store. They live in a comfortable but by no means, fancy house. And as the uncle said to me, we have achieved the American dream.
So why does he want to go back to North Korea? Find out today on The World. Glad you could be here this Friday. We begin today with President Obama's historic visit to Hiroshima, first sitting U.S. president to visit this city, devastated by an American atomic bomb 71 years ago. As expected, Obama did not apologize, but in his speech, the president did reflect on the horror that took place that day in 1945.
In the image of a mushroom cloud that rose into these skies, we are most starkly reminded of humanity's core contradiction. How the very spark that marks us as a species, our thoughts, our imagination, our language, our tool-making, our ability to set ourselves apart from nature and bend it to our will, those very things also give us the capacity for unmatched destruction.
Obama was also realistic. He noted that evil exists in the world and that the U.S. and its allies need to have the weapons they need to defend themselves. But then, as he has since the start of his presidency, he called for the elimination of nuclear weapons worldwide.
We may not realize this goal in my lifetime, but persistent effort can roll back the possibility of catastrophe. We can chart a course that leads to the destruction of these stockpiles.
Obama's visit to Hiroshima and the one immediately preceding it to Vietnam have powerful historic symbolism. For the millions of Americans who served in Vietnam and the dwindling band of World War II veterans, the visits have special significance. We were curious, too, to see how veterans of more modern wars see the issues. So we pinged our online community of veterans with these questions. What's your reaction to Obama's Vietnam and Hiroshima trip? And how much do World War II and the Vietnam War shape your worldview today? We got plenty of responses and invited two to join us. Andrew Malone, 34, from Miami, served in Iraq as an Army combat medic, and Aaron Dieterding, 38, of Denver, served in Iraq and Afghanistan as an Army helicopter pilot. Both have been on the show before. Welcome to you, Andrew and Aaron. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. President Obama was careful not to apologize for Hiroshima, but nonetheless, several of our vets have criticized him for his apology tour. Where do you land on this one?
I think the criticism is understandable. It came across more as a constructive apology, he didn't necessarily say the words. If you look at the context of what actually happened in those events during World War II, there were firebombing campaigns that took place weeks prior to the use of the atomic weapons that killed way more people, many more people than the atomic weapons. And Hiroshima was already bombed out. So you have to look at the context of what actually happened. It came across more as an apology and a propaganda soundbite towards this anti-nuclear proliferation. I think it did come across as apology, and I think it was poorly timed and unnecessary. The Japanese don't apologize for the atrocities committed in China or the Bataan Death March or Pearl Harbor and the many things they did every year. We always send a wreath there on Hiroshima Day. And I think it's badly timed considering the fact that we are in a time frame where we're seeing the last of the World War II veterans pass away.
Aaron Dieterding, what about you? I mean, President Obama didn't actually say, we're sorry, but do you see this as an apology tour?
I think, first of all, I think that he was wise and well advised to not specifically make it an apology. I do think that there was definitely that tone, but I also think that we're at a time when we have to realize that we'll never, most of us will never understand the perspective and the context behind what was going on at that time. And so for that reason, I don't think that it's right or even possible for us to apologize for that. What I do think, though, is that we're in a time of increased globalization, and we need to, kind of move on from our past and look towards the future. And I think, anytime that we can build bonds with other countries,